I never thought betrayal would find me on the happiest day of my life. The morning of my wedding, I stood before the mirror, dressed in white lace and satin, imagining a future filled with love and laughter. My heart was racing, not with fear, but with excitement, because I believed I had chosen the right man to share my forever with. Little did I know, within hours, my fairy tale would shatter into pieces. As the preparations buzzed around me, something felt strange. My fiancé, Daniel, had excused himself earlier, saying he needed a moment alone to clear his nerves. I thought it was normal, every groom gets nervous. But when his phone accidentally buzzed on the makeup counter next to me, I noticed a string of missed calls and messages from none other than my maid of honor, Jessica. My best friend since college. My sister in everything but blood. I brushed it off at first, convincing myself it was probably about some wedding detail. But as time dragged on and neither of them returned, a knot twisted in my stomach. Against my better judgment, I slipped off my heels and walked toward Daniel's hotel suite. Each step felt heavier than the last, my heart pounding in my chest. I wasn't prepared for what I was about to see. When I pushed open the door, the world stopped. There they were, Daniel and Jessica, in bed together, their faces a mask of shock as they scrambled for excuses. The sight cut me like a blade, stealing the breath from my lungs. My maid of honor, my best friend, my fiancé, on the very day I was supposed to vow eternal love. For a moment, I couldn't speak. My lips trembled, my eyes burned, and my entire body shook with betrayal. How could you? I whispered, my voice cracking under the weight of disbelief. Daniel stammered something about a mistake and cold feet, while Jessica tried to reach for me, tears streaming down her face. But I didn't want their explanations. I didn't need them. The betrayal spoke louder than any words could. I turned and walked out, clutching the train of my gown in my fists, my tears falling onto the white fabric. Guests were arriving. The flowers had been arranged. The music was waiting to play. But my wedding, my future, was already over. And that's when it hit me. I had a choice. Collapse under the weight of this humiliation, or rise above it. My hands were shaking as I pulled out my phone. I dialed one number, the only number that mattered at that moment. My brother, Michael. He was more than family. He was my protector, my rock. When he answered, his voice was steady, but when I told him what happened, the silence on the other end was deafening. Then he said, "Stay strong. I'll handle everything." Within an hour, Michael arrived with a calm authority that silenced the chaos. He didn't yell, he didn't curse. He simply walked up to Daniel and Jessica, who were now sheepishly dressed and hiding in a corner, and said, "You've humiliated my sister in front of everyone. You don't deserve another second of her life." Then, with the help of my cousins, he made sure Daniel was escorted out. Jessica tried to plead with me, but my brother's eyes burned with a warning that kept her at bay. Word spread quickly among the guests. Whispers filled the hall, but instead of pity, I felt something unexpected: support. My aunts surrounded me, wiping away my tears. My friends took my hands, whispering words of encouragement. And then, my grandmother, the woman who had always told me never to let anyone dim my light, looked me straight in the eyes and said, "Child, don't mourn a man who showed his true colors before you bound yourself to him. Thank God you found out today, not 10 years from now." Her words were a spark in the darkness. Slowly, strength replaced the trembling in my body. I walked to the stage, still in my wedding gown, and faced the guests who had come to celebrate love. My voice quivered at first, but soon it steadied. Today was supposed to be about two people starting a new life together, I said. But instead, it's about truth. And I want to thank every single one of you for being here, not to witness my humiliation, but to witness my strength. I will not marry a man who betrays me. I will not surround myself with friends who stab me in the back. Today, I choose myself. The hall erupted in applause. Some even cheered. It was not the wedding I had dreamed of, but it became a celebration nonetheless, a celebration of freedom, resilience, and self-respect. In the weeks that followed, I grieved, yes. But I also rebuilt. I cut ties with Jessica completely, and Daniel's attempts to apologize fell on deaf ears. My brother and my family became my anchors, reminding me daily that I was stronger than the betrayal. And slowly, I began to realize something important. Sometimes life rips people out of your story because they don't deserve a chapter in it. Months later, I stood in front of the mirror again, not in a wedding gown, but in a crisp suit on the first day of starting my own event planning business. The same people who had watched me break on my wedding day were now cheering me on as I turned pain into purpose. I no longer needed Daniel. I no longer needed Jessica. I had myself, my family, and a future that was truly mine. Looking back, I don't see that day as the end of a fairy tale. I see it as the beginning of my real story, the story of a woman who learned her worth, who found her voice, and who refused to settle for anything less than loyalty, respect, and love. So yes, I caught my fiancé in bed with my maid of honor on my wedding day. But that one phone call, to my brother, to my protector, changed everything. It reminded me that family stands where betrayal falls, and that sometimes, the best wedding gift you can receive is the freedom to walk away. And to anyone who has ever been betrayed, let me say this: you are stronger than the heartbreak. You are braver than the lies. And one day, you'll look back, not with pain, but with gratitude, because betrayal didn't break you. It built you.